Let's go. Footy finals are here and the League of Inches crew are ready to go. I tell you what, I think, well, I was about to say most of our teams have made it through. But that's actually not the case. More of our teams haven't than actually have come through. So we're off the top of the show. We're giving Sid a week off. He's done a special interview with us today. So we've worked him a little bit too hard this week. So he's just had a well-earned break with the family. So congratulations there, Sid. Welcome back. I know people have forgotten him, but big Josh. So, look, he seen that he made the flog list last week. There's a report he hasn't been happy about it. He's been stuck in lockdown. Josh, just want to quickly fill the viewers in with what's happened. Why have you been gone for so long?
I fell out of love with the game of rugby league, mate. Fell out of love with it. After watching the Dogs get dudded by the refs every week, it killed me, mate. I just had to take some time off.
No.
But after Sunday, I'm back, mate. That was
Bad
the best
Monday
game.
today, baby.
Oh,
Josh got dressed up as a traffic controller today for Mad Monday.
what were your thoughts about making the flog list? I know it's a popular decision.
I was happy, man. I was happy to make any list, to be honest.
Oh, look, boys, weapon of the week. I'm going to start with this one. And we've given this guy, I feel like, the award 4 or 5 times. And I just have to give it to him again. He's Tommy Turbo. He is just on another level. He's an absolute freak. And they're coming into the final series, probably arguably the form team of the competition now. And it's off the back of this bloke. And I would not want to be versing Manly in this final series. Him alone is just frightening. On his day, no one will stop him. Jace, what are you making of Turbo and just how scary is he coming into this final series?
Mate, he is really freaky. Just the fact that Manly, how much better they play with him in the team. It's like Tedesco from 2 or 3 years ago when he was right up there at his peak, and you could tell the Roosters were just a better off team with him in it than being out. And it's just his ability to just break tackles and just really strong through the hips, being able to just like withstand that contact and break tackles and just stay on his feet.
It's next level, as you said. It's hard to say. I keep saying it's frightening. It's pure. It's basically that's like if you're another opposition teams, it's like watching a horror movie. He just doesn't stop. Dane, he's someone that's not going to make our flog list. First of all, let's just touch on the outcome and the outcry of the flog list reveal last week. What you've received all week, and then just touch on Turbo and just how good he's been.
Yeah, look, I'll touch on Turbo first. He's just a freak.
Yeah.
He just does things that other players can't do. Every time he gets the ball, all eyes are on the Turbo. You just got to look at his stats. I was looking at some stats today, and he's played 15 games. He's scored 28 or 29 tries. He's run for just under 4,000 meters. He's just a freak, and I just love watching him play. And Manly, yeah, they're a bit of a surprise packet. So, stay tuned for what Manly can do in the finals.
Are you feeling okay? You did a bit of research before the show. Look out.
Oh, no, I just sort of fell across it. I was too into the flog list. So.
Let's touch on the flog list. And there's been 2 entries this week that have been absolute flogs with a capital F-L-O-G. And we can see him down the bottom there, old Kane the Flog Evans and Matt Serial Flog Lodge. It is next level, these two, and just what seemed to be the carry on yesterday. Like, no doubt you're probably fired up because your team's not making the finals, but the way they both went about it was just next level flog. Josh, I'll get you first, then we'll go back to the captain of the flog list. What did you make of these 2 Pelicans yesterday, or as we like to call them, flogs?
What do you say? Matt Lodge, man, he's already proven himself as a flog, you know what I mean? What do you expect from him? Kane Evans also, but it was pretty dirty, man. It was pretty low, It's fucking, I don't know.
It's so weird. I honestly feel like, because I've seen today Kane Evans is up for a 6 to 7 week suspension. I could not blame the Warriors just to go, mate. It hasn't worked this year. It's repeat offenders now. Get out of the club, because he's just proving to be a cancer for the club. Like, no, like, just want to call a spade here, but the guy's not learning. He just isn't bringing anything to the club.
100%, man.
I just don't get it, Jace. If either of these two are on contract, off contract right now, would you want the Dogs to sign either of them?
To be honest, no. Matt Lodge, when he's got his head screwed on right, he can be a pretty damn good player, but that's few and far between. He's more of a flog than he's not really, and that's just the hard part. He is a really good footy player, but he's just his head. He's never got his head in the right place.
Dane,
it's Ronnie, mate. Come on, John, get your head in the game, but
sorry, every time someone's mentioned flogging, it's his thing that's come up with. He's just burst out laughing today. He has never been like this. So what's wrong, Captain Flog, or Coach Flog, we should say? What's going on with these two?
Look, they just don't get it. They're a virus to most teams. Like even Kane Evans, he was a good player when he played for the Roosters, and Matt Lodge, he's got some potential, but I think they both need to go to anger management or something, or flog management for mine. But like you've got to be really worthy to make this list, and once you're on it, that's it. You tag the flog.
Look, we've got to move on from that one, because the show's going downhill quickly with with the flogs this week. Just honestly, Matt Lodge and Kane Evans, pull yourselves together and have a big, strong, hard look in the mirror, and just think you're supposed to be professionals. An absolute pack of flogs at the moment. So if the new team was going to be called the Brisbane Flogs, you'd be both captain of that side. So moving on is on the weekend, the results. And I thought this was an interesting one to bring up, is that I feel like a lot of the results from the weekend reflected the way that team's season has gone. So just to give you a couple of examples, like the Raiders and the Sharks both needed to win to be in the 8, basically, for this season. Both failed to do so, and failed pretty miserably. They both pretty much got whacked. So, and I think that just sort of summed up their season as a whole. I thought the Raiders were, for mine, the biggest disappointment this year, really poor. And the Sharks, obviously, some injuries and things like that, but just once they got rid of Morris, I think most people said it'd go downhill. They were surprisingly able to keep it for a while there, but didn't really happen. The Knights, they're in the 8, but they got pumped by the Broncos, and their season hasn't been that fight. We talked about them last week, saying we can't get how they're actually in the 8 at the moment. So, and then just another side would be the Tigers. The Tigers have been absolutely dreadful, and no disrespect, boys. Josh caught it at the start of it. The Dogs have been pretty horrible themselves. And to get whacked 38-0, that is absolutely next level. And it's just weird how some of these results this week typified just the season some of these teams has. Josh, what games did you watch over the weekend, and what sort of made you sit back and think, oh, that result was pretty much summed up some things for that team?
Well, I watched 2 games. I watched the Knights game, and I watched the Dogs game. The Knights were dreadful, man. How they're in the finals. If you want to talk, there's a pressure game. It's whoever's playing the Knights in the finals. If they don't get pumped, you know what I mean? If Para don't pump Knights, I don't know what's happening there. I watched the Dog game, but who knows what's going on with the Tigers? Only God knows who's going on with the Tigers. To not score a point against the team coming last, that's got to tell you something, man. That's got to tell you that. I don't know what's going to happen with Maguire, to be honest. I think, I always thought he was good for the team, but now I think he's got to go.
And the Tigers made Hetherington look like David Fafita. Goodness me, where did he come from? He was out of the clouds. Jace, what did you make of the weekend's games, and what sort of games stood out for you?
Yeah, well, the teams we expected to win won, and the teams that we kind of knew would be horrible proved our point. I think it's going to be a pretty easy finals to predict the first week, especially with those elimination games. They're pretty much, you know who's going to win and who's going to be packing your bags and starting Mad Monday early. But I'm really keen to see this this Melbourne Manly semi-final. Just to see how Melbourne can handle Turbo, and that's another thing about Turbo. Like every team that he's played against, I guarantee you, their game plan was to shut down Turbo. But there's one thing to plan it and one thing to go ahead and do it. So it'll be interesting to see how Melbourne deals with him.
Yeah, exactly right. Mate, stop trying to push ahead either as well. Like we're getting to the finals games, mate. We're talking about last weekend's games. Either
settle down, mate.
Yeah, stick to the script, or you'll make the fog list for a second time, and that'll be a record.
Against my name.
Dane, what game sort of stood out for you for reasons why either summed up the season for the side or whatever?
Look, no real games stood out because a lot of clubs were resting players. So that was a little bit, I don't know, different, I suppose, but for good reason, give them a rest before finals footy and make sure they're fit and, no unwarranted injuries. But for me, the game that stood out was the Dogs.
Yeah.
It was just great to see them, finish on a high and to keep the Tigers to 0. Like, I think they said it was the first time in 8 years that they've kept the team to 0 or something along the lines of that. So, but they just kept going, and hopefully that can springboard them into next year. And I think they're going to have a half decent outfit next year. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do. So that's what stood out for me.
It is. It might be a big call to say, but a win like that on the last round of the season, that could really give the players something to step into training. Yeah, look, they did get the wooden spoon, no line about that. But that's a really good win. That's a really good, as you said, stepping stone to go into the next season with some more quality players around the joint and just to really pick up. Jace, I wanted to quickly ask you, though, on the Raiders. I know you've got a Raiders little passionate household there. What has happened to them this year? Because I feel like, and we've got some awards coming out shortly for the page, they're my disappointment of the year. And I just feel like they've been, not many people have actually spoken about I think most people had them in the top 4 and they've just been nowhere near it this year.
Yeah, man, it's really hard to pinpoint with them. Like even like you said, the household that I'm in are pretty much all Raiders fans, and my missus absolutely loves the Raiders. She loves them, watches them every week, and she's been so disappointed with them.
Loves them more than you.
Pretty much. Not even gonna lie. Hashtag truth on that one, but man, you can't pinpoint it, because on paper they got a pretty similar team that made that run to the grand final. Not much has changed with that, and they still have the same coach and all that. But talk about dissent within the ranks and all that. It's whether it's confirmed or not, and you just don't know. Like those, at the end of the day, the players got to take the field and turn up, and they just weren't this year.
Yeah, and Jace, I've seen you get a little bit excited, so I'll let you touch on it. That win for the Dogs is a really good stepping stone for the off season, isn't it?
Very good stepping stone, mate. But like you said, it's a whole bunch of new players coming in. So those players, I really, really hope they jump on board and they buy into the Dogs' game plan and culture, and they help us turn it around. Because if they don't just come to the team and they still want to be individuals, then it'll be the same results as this year.
And Josh, just want to make sure you're still on the bandwagon now. You've hopped back on.
I'm back on, mate. I'm back on, and oh man, I'm so excited. Let me give you some breaking news first. Yeah,
Ooh.
Dogs to make the 8 2022.
He's gone off early.
You heard it here first, mate.
Dane, just quickly, I noticed something when I mentioned the Canberra Raiders to Jace. You actually looked behind at the flog list. Was there someone you kind of want to add to that list, or a team? Is there? Or
no. Well, I think it should be highlighted. It's the coach. He's the problem of the team. Third on the list, Ricky Flog Stewart.
Yep. I'm with you there. I am 100% with you there. I think he has too many good mates in the media, so they don't call it as it should be. But I think Ricky Stewart,
and one of them's on top of the list, Paul Flog Kent.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's an absolute joke. But final ladder, boys. We've all seen it. What about your biggest shocks? Obviously, some good ones and some bad ones. We'll go around the room. And Dane, what's your good ones first?
Oh, look, well, I'm glad that the Roosters still made it. Obviously being a Roosters supporter, but, with the injuries and, how much talent we've got on the sideline, like we could have went downhill pretty quick, but we scraped together enough wins to, stay in there and almost even in the top four. So, I suppose that was a good one. Good to see Manly in there. They've fired this year. Shock losses. A shock to get into the 8 was the Knights. I don't think they deserved to be there. And the other shock was the Raiders not making it.
Yeah, so that the Raiders would obviously be your bad one. Would be your
Well, I had them to take out the minor premiership. I honestly thought they had a good enough team on paper, and based on last year, they should have been up there somewhere. But yeah, it's just what went wrong.
We did the preseason video for the Raiders, man. I remember, and we both said that this team is going to be right up there, challenging for the title at this time of the year, and it's just I can't believe they're not. So, Jace, what about yours? Let's start with the negatives first. Let's go negative.
Negatives, obviously, Knights. I think that's pretty much going to be the standard negative for all of us. I think, it's. But you look at the Knights, and then you look at everyone that could have made the 8, and really, none of them really deserved to make the 8. So, whoever was going to take that other spot, it would have been one of the disappointments. Positive, I think Titans. I think they them being in it, little brother team from Queensland, and they just it's going to be really good for their fans, their fan base, and the future of their team.
Yeah, I'm with Dane with the good. I think the Roosters, the fact that 3 retirements happened and they were able to still be fighting for the top 4 in the last round is phenomenal achievement for the club, and just sort of shows what they've built there over these years. And I think any other team that happens to, they're probably fighting for the wooden spoon or very close to it. Manly as well, they had 4 losses at the start. And I think we were even saying Des Hasler and Manly, I know what's going on, but the relationship's about to end horribly. And basically since then, they've probably lost, maybe 2 games all up. And off the back of Turbo, it's just been phenomenal. They've been next level good. My negatives would be the Raiders for sure. Just so much hype at the start of the year, and just feels like no one's really calling it as it is for them. The other one's the Tigers. I sort of thought the Tigers would be a bit average, but I didn't think they'd be like this. It's just the next level of mediocrity for the club, and the fact that the players don't seem to be taking accountability. It's all getting heaped on Madge. Now, Madge has been there for a few years now, and he's not out there making the missed tackles and the poor attitudes and things like that. The players, for mine, haven't shown any heart at all this year, and we've seen it on their big days when the Tommy Day was the tribute for him, and they just didn't turn up. Like, for mine, that's questions for the playing group. And don't get me started after watching that documentary on Pascoe. He's an absolute clown, and he can make that flog list as well. So next week, put him on, Dane. But Josh, what about yours?
I think you guys touched on everything, man. Like, I'm going to speak from the heart here. The negatives has to be my Bulldogs, man. Finishing last, like struggling for so long the way they did. It was hard to watch, man, because I thought they were a better team this year. I thought they would have had more wins. I thought they would have played better, but it was the same old thing. So that was the negative. But the positive for me has to be Manly. Manly making the top 4, like you said, Joel, the way they started the year, there's no way any of us would be putting them in the top 4. Top 8 maybe, but there's no way in the world they'll be in the top 4. So that's a positive for them, man. And you can't just say it's because of Turbo. Yeah, he makes a big difference to the team, but the whole team's put in. Like, we put it on Cherry Evans a bit as well on this show, but he stepped up heaps.
Yeah, I agree. And let's touch quickly on now, guys. We've got in the final series. We're doing a special. We're doing a Monday review of basically the games that have been, and then on the Thursday we're going to release our sort of predictions about the games ahead. So we're not trying to touch too much on the games this episode, but what we want to do is come up with 2 sides each who are under the most pressure heading into this final series. So, Dane, what are your 2 sides heading into this final series under the most pressure?
You'd have to say that the Knights are. They could go out pretty much in the first set. And I'd have to say it's out of the Roosters And I think the Eels, I think, are under a little bit of pressure.
Any reasons why?
Oh, well, the Roosters, I've already mentioned it before. We've got, a lot of talent on the sidelines. Like, they're making it happen, but it doesn't happen every single week. They're just not as consistent. And I think Eels, well, I think they might have turned around. They had a few losses and, they just weren't consistent enough for a few weeks there. And I hope they're back. That cabinet's pretty dusty, so I hope they bounce back. But, yeah, I think they're under a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, well, look, we won a 9th comp back in the day, and we've got that taken off us. So thanks for the reminder. Jace, who are your 2 sides under the most pressure?
Yeah, I'll agree with Dane on that. Roosters, just because they're the Roosters, and there's always big expectation that comes along with their name. So for them, I think it'll be incredibly disappointing if they go out after the first game of their finals campaign. And the other one is definitely the Eels, because I just think with the Eels, they had so much potential as well. Starting the season strong and pretty much being in that top 2 or 3 for the majority of the season, and then ending up in the bottom 4 of the 8. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, look, I'll back up that up. The first team is Parramatta, more so because of just our record lately in finals games. I think we're 1 from 6 or something at the moment. So we just want to get that turned around and obviously put a big performance in the first week, and then we can go off that confidence-wise. So I think the most pressure on us is this week. I think after that, anything extra is a bonus. I think we just need to make a statement at least this weekend against the Knights. My other team, and I don't believe in putting the bottom 2 in because they're basically in there, and if they win, anyone's like, oh, yeah, well done, they actually won. I'm surprised. So I'm going to go different level. I'm going to go Melbourne Storm. They're under some pressure because I think we showed 2 weeks ago there's some little glimpses in their armor at the moment, and they're versing pretty much teams from here on in that are going to exploit that because they're all quality sides. So if they need to get the team selection right for a start, needs to make a big call on the Pappy and Hines situation. They needs to make a big selection on Brandon Smith and Harry Green as well. And then, they need to sort of click back into gear because they have sort of gone off the bandwagon a little bit, considering what the Melbourne Storm have been good at all year. So I think there's a little bit of pressure on them. Josh, what are your 2 sides?
I agree with the boys. I think Eels and Roosters, both teams got the easiest games this week. And that brings a lot of pressure on. They're expected to win. Knights aren't expected to win. Titans aren't expected to win. Those 2 teams are expected to win. So I think those 2 have the biggest pressure on them at the moment.
Oh, interesting. There's a Parramatta players don't listen to this video. There's a lot of pressure.
Are you willing to put a multi on that?
Oh, what are we going to put a multi on?
Oh, look how excited you got.
He's had to spend $5, mate.
Final one, boys, off the cuff is a player we think MVP for the final series. So obviously we're probably going to have to pick a club who we think will go deep in the finals here. One player from each from one of the clubs. Jace, I'll let you go first with this one.
Look, man, I'm going to stick with the strong choice and say Cleary. I think Cleary will step up in these final series, especially after their disappointment, for last season. So I think definitely him.
I was going to say Cleary, but the more I think about it, the more I just can't get away from Tommy Turbo. And I just feel like they're going to make a Parramatta 09 type run to the grand final. And I think they're just riding at the moment. They're soaring, and I don't want to be a team playing Manly this year in the final series. So I'm really loving Turbo. Josh, what's your player?
Brendan Smith, man. Him at hooker. Yeah, I reckon him as hooker, man.
So he's got to pick him to start.
He has to pick him to start, man. Harry Grant's got to come off the bench. Brendan Smith, they're a different team. They're a different team with him on the field. There's more energy.
Yeah, 100%. Dane, take us away with your ultimate prediction here.
Yeah, well, look, I was thinking Edric Lee, but yeah, he probably won't play any well. But no, it's hard to go past Turbo. Turbo, and I actually like Brandon Smith because he's a really good actor. Like, he goes down his pert and then he winks at the camera, milks a penalty. I mean, he's making meters without doing anything. Just brilliant. So yeah, it's hard to split those two.
Oh, it's been an episode, guys. I don't know what's happened to us tonight, but we've been off the charts and we've done it in record time. So, Sid, if you're listening, maybe you're the issue. Maybe we go so long because of you. So, next week there could be a few new additions to the flog list. Sid might be one just because of how long he takes, and there's a few others out there. So, boys, looking forward to the finals. As I said, guys, tune in Thursday. Will be a special video if you're waiting on our ultimate predictions to put some gambling multis on. Please gamble responsibly. We're all for that, but you're going to want to hear us. We'll come up with our best bet as well, just a bit of a special. But boys, thank you. Josh, I'm going to give you MVP tonight. You've come back with a bang, and it's been great. Your wisdom, it's just been like a younger Sid, but just better in a few ways. So, Sid, we love you. We love the work you're doing. Thanks for the extras. You deserve it. So, thanks, guys. Enjoy the video, and thanks for all the love.